Okay, so basically today, let me go direct to the second slide. I'm gonna give you overview about why we need to have change management in your activities, in your projects and programs. You're gonna see some high level review of the approach and also some tools that can be used in your projects. And I will propose an agile approach, okay? An agile checklist or tools you can select to use and customize to your project. Okay, first, we have not an issue, but usually we believe that when we deliver a project or a program, we just put on the table and say, now it's done, let's move to the other another project. And this is not correct. So we spend a lot of time and money with research and energy designing and implementing. As you know, I have 14 years in Electrolux, and I've seen a lot of projects that we spend years implementing, maybe sometimes training, and after 1 year, people just stop using it for the reason sometimes or usually we don't understand. But basically, it's lack of change management. Okay, so you need to understand that you need to give a lot of priority and attention to that. It's not only deliver your program or project, but also to ensure people will adopt that. I will skip the videos. As I said, I have some videos I'd like to share, but we cannot share through BlueJeans. So I will probably create another video of this training. Okay, so you can watch later the video. Very good videos, 1 minute, 3 minutes, but says a lot of things. Okay, first, this graph represents a survey, so this is real numbers. It's how the project succeed or fail according to the quality of the change management. Means that if we have a fair change management, less than half will succeed. So this is really uh, outstanding number. Means that if you have an excellent change management, you will probably succeed. Okay, but it's very rare to have an excellent change management. Usually we have, a good, fair means that every 4 of 10 will fail. Okay, the first highlights say that the COEs see that we need to be agile on an ability to change, and this is what we are having right now in Electrolux. We are changing. The purchasing is changing a lot, have changed actually, but we need to adopt quickly. Okay, again, 6 times more likely to meet the objectives if we have excellent change management. Okay, so every project you have your current process, the transition, and the future process. You have the technical side, which is clear for all of us, and people side, which is actually a gray box. Not a gray box, but I think we need to work on this. On the technical side, we have the design, develop, and delivery. If you are a product line program manager, you can think about the design of the product, develop the product, or maybe a new part or new technology and the delivery of it, right? When it comes to people side, we need to ensure people will embrace the idea and the tool or the new way of work. They will adopt it and use it. Okay. The point is, some it's very common to have these as separate things. And from my personal perspective and my experience, say that the delivery is linked to the adoption. So delivery is part of the change management. So this is together with this. Means that we need to start the delivery together with change management. And the change management starts in the very beginning, together with the design and development. Okay, we have 3 levels of change management. One from organization. I can use our global purchasing experience. We are changing the organization structure. It's a huge impact, a big change in our lives, not in our lives, but in the company. On a project, you can have in your personal project a change management and individuals. These slides say that in the end of the day, the change management will focus on how help the end users or the employees to adopt the new culture. When I say new culture, is because change management is about change our culture. Okay, and the culture of the company or the culture that we are using here depends on how the top level organization behaves. So we can focus on people and how to structure the approach of change management. When you talk about people, as I said before, we need to involve everybody that is affected by the change. It could be an end user, a mid manager, or sometimes a supplier. If you work with supplier development, you can think about changing, the behavior of the supplier. So what is the key here is to include them in the very beginning of your project, not beginning of the change management process, but beginning of the project. You need to be effective when delegating. We need to address the feelings. When you say address the feelings here, we need to keep to transform this in a more passionate or to be more optimistic and to encourage people to change. It's not only something code, but be more personal. They need to understand how it would be good for them personally to change. Okay. You need to follow through means to follow through what needs to be delivered, the steps, but you need to be flexible. The approach we're going to use today, we're going to know today, is very good for flexible and agile approach. Okay, I'm gonna touch this later. And stay positive. You must be positive. If you're not positive, if you are not optimistic, okay, people are more resistant to the change because they don't trust the change is really good. When it on structure and approach, you need to be systematic. Okay, you you will expect resistance. It's common to have resistance. People usually are resistant to change. It's everywhere at every level in personal, your home, outside, and the company. So we need to work with this resistance. We need to create a plan, identify the resistance, and break this resistance. Okay, listen to feedbacks and learn from other experience. From this project, from the PMO change management, by end of this year, I will I would love to have a lot of learned lessons from every project so we can share our experience and best practice. In the past 2 years, we implemented these learned lessons and we managed to improve a lot, but really improve a lot the change management for every rollout we made in our program. Okay, we need to support people affected to the change. Some people will be affected more than others. We need to understand and identify them and support them. Okay, have a clear and regular, precise communication. This is tricky. To be frank, this is a challenge for me as well. So you're not alone if you have problems to be, regular, precise communication. So it's very important to develop that skill. Okay, for this, we're gonna have one specific meeting to talk about that, to have ideas, tips, and other suggestions how we can improve it. Okay, and understand that the corporate work culture is part of the change. For example, if we are used to exchange emails, right, to negotiate with suppliers, is part of our culture. If you want to change that tool to another tool, you need to change or to create a new culture. Okay, so people can, for example, you want to now exchange and use WhatsApp instead of email. We need to create a new culture to replace that. I have also a psychological side by Edith. Edith unfortunately could not join, but she has a 10 minutes to explain how the psychological side of the change. So I will of course include this slide in the future and add to this material or have another opportunity to have her together with us. This is a video, I won't go over this video, but this is a very interesting video. I will share the link in the end of this presentation. It's only 5 minutes video, it's an interview with this lady about the techniques, how we can help companies to transform and be effective in transformation. But what I did, I just create some highlights of what she said, and I'd like to go through these highlights. And I just want to understand that this is not everything about change management, but this is uh, what in my understanding, is the most important thing that she said and makes a lot of sense to me, according to my experience. First, Every initiative must have a prioritization. Once you say not many at the same time, what we have today? We have a list of activities in PMO or maybe in product lines, and we have some people affected by many initiatives. They don't understand what what is the priority. So we need to understand and maybe prioritize. Not maybe, but it's good to prioritize. What is now? What is the priority now? Otherwise, people get lost. Okay, we have already a map in the PMO team, and we already identify people that are overloaded with several projects at the same time. So we need to think about that. Dictating doesn't work for implementing changes. This is very clear, right? If the boss say do it, it's very hard. You can. Some people will do. Some people will just ignore. We know that dictating doesn't work. Okay, we need really to engage people. And communication engagement. People think and sometimes they misunderstand and believe that they are the same. They are not the same, but they are both important. Communication is to create awareness. Engagement is to create the desire. People need to, they want to change, they want to learn about that. And communication, of course, it helps with the desire, but is more related to awareness, related to reinforcement and follow ups. We go through it as well. And I won't go through what happened if you don't have a effective transformation, it's clear. And the cultural change. Identify current culture, as I said before, can be used to support the change. Sometimes you identify the culture, and sometimes you realize the culture we had before is old fashioned, not efficient anymore, and so on. So we can use this to help us to change, right? Identify informal leaders. This is really important. When you are running a risk assessment, when you are identify the impacted people, you will realize that some people have influence to others and sometimes they are not leaders, they are not managers. You have an employee that a lot of people listen to this employee and he can influence others. So if this person is resistant to the change, it can be a risk. But if you manage to bring this person on your side and empower this person to help you, it will be very, very useful. Okay, not useful, but also really help to make the change happen at people level. This is very interesting. She said in the video that top and mid managers are the key, and they are. This is very important. We're going to touch this later. They must embrace and act in a different way to reflect the change. This is not so common here. We need to ensure that they are the first to change. They are giving the example, and they are not giving the example internally to your division, but outside as well, and sometimes outside the company to ensure that the company is changing and they are the leaders of this change. Okay, the communication, as I said before, any pool of experts. I like the word followers created by Carla De Luca. I liked it because what is different from experts and followers? Followers are people that wants to learn. They are really following you. They are following you, following the news, trying to learn and help. They are proactive on that. Okay, so we need to create this pool. We need to help them to support our change management, our program. Okay, some high level of our approach. We use the ADKAR approach. Most of you already heard about it, but ADKAR approach is a very useful tool to work in every level. It's very flexible. You can use it in an agile approach and you can use it for personal change. I use my example. I smoked for 20 years of my life. I quit smoking 8 years ago. I use the other car. Of course, I didn't know that, but now I understand that I use it. I was aware about the benefits of quit. I first time I quit, I didn't want actually to stop quit. I failed for sure. After I really developed the desire and knowledge, I try again with the ability. I fail again, and I had a reinforcement, a new knowledge, and after 4 times, I managed to quit. The same happens here in Electrolux. You cannot put someone without desire in a training room. This person will do something else. Will check emails, will make phone calls, will do whatever, but not pay attention what is said. So we can divide the change management in three main process stages. One, prepare; another, manage; and reinforce. I will touch one of all of them quickly, so we're going to understand, because by end of this meeting, I will run a survey real time. I want you to uh, coordinate in your prioritize, okay, the ones you'd like to learn more or you think is more relevant to your project than others. We will try to do it during this meeting time. Okay, let's go for preparing the change. Oh, sorry, quick one. Prepare the change, define the strategy, prepare the change management team. As I said, you cannot change yourself. You cannot be the one in charge. If you're implementing something in BAs or product lines spread in the world, you need to identify your team. You need to have a local change management to help you, sometimes at plant level, sometimes at business area level, sometimes global. The sponsorship model to identify the sponsors, identify the managers, who is resistant, who has influence, and so on. Develop the plan, break down the plan into activities, right? But mostly you can divide the action in communication, have a very clear communication plan; sponsor enablement, which is help the sponsors to perform some very simple tasks, a checklist to help you with the change; management, managers enablement, which is one of the most important points to ensure the managers, mid managers, will be able to support the change and act differently according to the new process, the new project, new tool, whatever is your plan. The resistance management to break the resistance one by one, and the training, which is a very important topic to be now one specific training, how to prepare the training and so on. And the reinforcement, collect, analyze feedback. So we want to run some surveys with end users to identify if they are ready to learn, if they know about the program, how uh, how much they desire to use it, and so on. Audit compliance actually stand for some adoption indicators or KPIs. So we need somehow to track the usage and ensure people are really using it. Only after that, then you can consider your project implemented. You cannot just deliver it and done. We need to ensure people really adopt that and adopt the new culture, the new process. Okay, of course, corrective actions in case you identify issues. This is the same as before. I just more or less put ADKAR together with with the approach. Again, the prepare the change is one block. The manage the change, you need to set up the communication since the beginning, the very beginning. And this is more or less linked to the design of the project. Then the sponsors need to be enabled before the mid managers, and you need to create a resistance management and plan before the training. The ADKAR actually is here. When you have the training, you must ensure that you don't have resistance anymore, or at least drop the resistance level. Then we run the training and support. I mean support because people need to know where to find more information, who they should ask for help, and so on. And after the go live, we have some reinforcement message, etc. Okay, this is an example. We are right now rolling out our ISS program in MEA. It's only one country actually impacted, Egypt. So what we did here? In last slide, you see that this program more or less takes 4 months. It can make in 4 months or more or less depending on your time availability. In this specific case, we had 8 weeks only. So we start on week 5 and we are today on week 10. Means that in 8 weeks, we had to create a change management approach for this. Basically, we create some newsletter for communication. We have the sponsor enablement. We are now having an ADKAR survey to see how ready people are for the training. That will be on week 12. And this is one thing that we implemented after some learning lessons. We are running a basic training 1 week before the training. Why? Because we are sending to Egypt two people, two guys, to train them face to face. If we don't run this basic training on navigation, if they have access to the system, if they understand the models, if they understand the basic flows, these guys will lose 1 or 2 days just to explain that. So because of that, in 1 hour, we're gonna have this one-on-one training and have a week to fix any issue, and people will be there. So we are saving time and money. Okay, means that this was implemented because of the learned lessons. In some case, for example, supplier development or this ISS, you also need to have a change management process or approach to the suppliers. In this case, we need to onboard suppliers in the tool. We need to explain to suppliers what's happening, and we need to ensure that the commodity managers know what is going on. That we are contacting their supplier, they will have to access the system, register their certificates, whatever it is. So we need to look and understand if we need also to create a change management plan for not only internal but also external. I strongly believe that for suppliers development team, that will be very relevant to create kind of change management plan for suppliers. Okay, this is just an example. And of course, this is just a high level with milestones. We have a lot of activities to ensure that we are going to deliver in time. Okay, again, in our organization, we need to have a common change management process. It's very important to have at least in PMO team to ensure that our end users, the purchasing organization, will identify our projects when we start our change management. The communication must be a standard, the training a standard, and any other activity related to your program. It will make easier for us to implement because any end users will expect next step and follow up. Okay? Again, celebrate success. I think this is very relevant. Many times we had a lot of people, employees, working very hard in a project, in a program, and in the end, there was no recognition. The idea here, we don't need to, award with anything, but make acknowledge these people and celebrate that in public. Ensure that this guy got the recognition. Is good, not for your project, but for the following project, because people will be more willing to join your project if they know they will be awarded by that. Not awarded in money, but awarded by recognition. It's another video. I will skip it again. And then I have a question. If I have succeeded in creating the desire for you to learn more about change management. The idea of this meeting was to create the awareness about change management and also to create the desire if you want to learn about change management. I hope you understood the reason and how important is change management. Okay, the agile approach. I won't go through it, but agile stands for break down into very quick and objective steps. Okay, with milestones. And now I'm going to let me see, we have 30 minutes yet. I go very quick through that to explain one by one because I want you to answer me which one is more important, okay, for you. Change management strategy is to execute the risk assessment, okay, to understand your organization and what will be the change and develop the change management strategy. It's a presentation, it's a standard, you're going to have access to it. Okay, we're going to present this to the team, we're going to present to the sponsor and break down into the tactics that we need to create. Prepare the change management team. Important to have a meeting and prepare this team. They need to know how important they are. They need to understand, not only deliver something like, oh, go and organize a training. No, not that. It's why communicate, why to organize, and so on. Okay, so we need to understand the resource And again, very important, they need to understand and prioritize the activity. If you have a resource sharing with other project or other stuffs and he doesn't understand how important is the change management in your project, it's gonna be a big fail. Okay, by experience, I can say that. You need to be clear not only for this person but also for the line manager. How important are the activities related to change management in this project? Okay, you're gonna access the competency and prepare the team. This is a sponsorship model. We are going to create it. This is really useful. Basically, you're going to identify the sponsors and assess their competence and prepare for the change. We're going to, for example, this is an example. In this case, we have like the president, the sponsor, and the line manager, and the end users. What we have here in colored, we have A that goes A, B, or C, and one, two, three. A stands for influence, how influent this person is. Okay, and the number one, two, three is the resistance level. If I say to you that this COO is very influent because it's the COO, but very resistant, I can paint in red and mean, okay, I have a resistance at a high level in the company. My sponsor is okay, one, but I need to work this guy first before go down. I cannot work with this person before work with the COO. Okay? The idea here is to understand how resistant and influent they are. And then if you ask me, okay, how can I know it if I don't have contact with these people? Is by asking someone closer to this. Like this case, ask the primary sponsor how he sees that. You can also run a questionnaire and answer that I have to help you grade them. I never use that because usually it's better to talk to the people to understand if they are resistant and why they are resistant to that. So after you have this map, you create a plan to that. This is an example. In Electrolux, you can have the vice president, you can have the sponsors of your program, and you can create change management leaders. So it can be at business area level, product line, or category. That would be just a guess, this is not reality. For example, you have the senior vice president, okay, supporting, very influent, and this guy here, not so, no, it's not so influent, but is not resistant actually. So this is not an issue here. But if you have people with the B3, that could be an issue. Okay? This is really confidential. Every time you create this, you need to keep it very confidential because commonly you can embarrassing people. Is you will use it to define your strategy. Okay, you can share with the sponsor if you want, but keep it very, very confidential. Manage change. Communication, very important as well. Identify the audience, what kind of message, how we're going to, what will be the time in packaging, how we're going to communicate in a meeting, face to face, webinar, newsletter, e-gate article. There's a lot of ways to communicate. So we're going through, and you're going to select the one that you think will work better for your project. This sponsor enablement, again, we will not ask your sponsor, your vice president, or your director to perform activities, but you'll help them with a checklist what they can do to help you. For example, secure resource, as I said, they need to ensure that the resource will be allocated to the project. Stay engaged, communicate, understand the change, reinforce why the change is being made, and celebrate, and so on. Really, just fill activities that will really boost your program. Okay? Managers enablement is very important. Enable them to understand, engage, develop competences, and enable them to introduce and reinforce the change. Resistance is more or less what I said. You need to create a strategy on how to break the resistance. It can be, for example, have one-to-one meeting. It can be, I don't know, listen, feedbacks, communication, and so on. Training, that's a very specific topic. Okay, define training approaches, scope, people. For example, if you have someone in quality that needs to perform an activity in your new process, You don't need to train them on everything, all models. You can train them only in what they will perform. You can really have a 15 minutes training to them how to do this and that when they receive an email, this request. Okay, this is an example. Or if you manage to break this training into very small models, we can also create a repository of this training because it's easier for people to watch a 10 to 15 minutes video than 1 2 hours training session. They will not watch 1 2 hours training session, but they might watch 1 2 3 minutes tutorial videos on their specific role in your process. It's just one example. Okay, all these activities in the change management is related to the ADKAR. The communication, sponsor enablements, resistance, and training, we have all these. So to create awareness, you need to have a good communication, sponsor, and manage enablement. To create desire, the enablement, and resistance management. Usually by explaining the reason we are changing and what is the benefits, you can create desire by explain for them what is up for them personal level. Knowledge, training, and also the managers. Managers saying you stop what you're doing, you go to the training, pay attention to that, prioritize this. This is something that the managers can do for you, not for you, but for end user, so they can really keep that focus. Ability, again, some training. The manager is not accepting workaround. Managers tracking the indicators, the adoption indicators, okay, and reinforcement, communication, and enablement of sponsors. So all these relations here. Also, in the end, I just want to highlight that the manager enablement is the only activity or the only initiative that will impact every outcomes in the other car. That's why it's so important to have them on board in the very beginning and engage with them. Okay, reinforcing the change basically is create. We run some ADKAR surveys. It's ready. I will help you with that. The ADKAR survey will actually tell us where they are. We run usually an ADKAR survey before the training, one after the training, just 1 month or 1 week before you start, you go live of your program, and after that. So you measure where they are. In this example here, what this says to me is that, okay, this team really have 5 desire, means that they really want to use the new process. Okay, so I have two answers here. Or we haven't started training because they are ready for the training, or something went wrong with the training. It's not because they didn't want to learn, but because we didn't manage to teach them for a reason. As you can see, ADKAR tells a lot for us in a very simple way, right? And we can really keep that to track how the change management is going. Okay, audit compliance is more or less the performance reports. If you are doing the new way, is more related to the adoption and the KPIs. So, what's my idea here? And if you agree, of course, later on we can exchange some emails if you want to have a different format. I'm trying to make the best here. I will record every training. I will edit to make it short, maybe break into small sessions to make it easier for people to watch. Um, will be, in my opinion, the beginning 6 modules, 30 minutes presentation, 15 minutes question and answers. And all the recording will be available only after last module. Of course, this meeting I will share immediately because I want everybody to understand what's coming. But the rest I will only share after we finish the training sessions. Why? Because I want to ensure that people will attend. If you don't want to attend, you have access to it. But I want to ensure that people that will attend will be, in advance, one step forward. I want to give this advantage to people because I want to listen from you. I want to listen your questions, concerns, and doubts during the training because I want to make it to improve it. The idea is 2 models for prepare the change. I'll okay, break into project inputs, which is very important to understand my project, sponsorship model, risk assessment, and then develop the strategy and prepare the change management team. Another 3 sessions for manage the change, one specific for the plan and communication. I want to prioritize and highlight communication, the tips and what kind of communication you can make. One example, manage change. The continuation be sponsor and manage enablement. Very important. I would say that most of this meeting will be related to the manager's enablement because the sponsor is very high level. And the resistance manager, how to identify and how to prepare a plan to that. Training will be a very specific model. Okay, training is complex, not complex, but I'd like to go in detail on training so people know all the tools you can use to have effective training. And to close, collect feedbacks, how to get best practice, learning lessons, and I would like to that all of you share learning lessons with us, okay, on a regular basis. Every time you close your project, we can have some learning lessons. We can see how was adoption and implementation. Okay. Um, Now I will share with all of you here in go wrong in the flow of the training. If you have any questions now or any comments, you can both send me by mail or okay, you can ask me now. We still have 10 minutes. If you have anything you want to say, comment or ask, it's open. One last thing. I will share the slides with all of you. This slide has also the videos you can watch. It's very big, so we'll share through the internet, the OneDrive. But I would recommend you to watch the videos. And this last one here is very interesting. It's about agile change management. Okay, it's 5 minutes video. Very nice. It's not in my presentation. Recommend you to watch. Okay, you can watch on YouTube and then give me your feedbacks on that. Okay. Okay. Questions, anyone? Or we close it?
Just a comment. Another great presentation, Paolo. Very informative and accurate. Thank you.
Oh, thanks a lot, Sarah. Appreciate that.
Same comment from my side, Paolo. Very well done and really interesting. Very clear.
Ciao, Carla. Thanks a lot. You are a follower. Okay.
Yes, I am.
Me too. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot, everybody. Enjoy the day and be
Thanks
safe.
to you, Paolo.
Be safe.
Well done.
Bye bye.
Thanks, Paolo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, bye.